Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Kalen, or you can call me Fox, or Flayerthehatebound, whatever you know me from. Those are just some of my usernames for like YouTube, Instagram, and then Kalen's my actual name, so feel free to call me whatever. Um, I'm just going to probably start a podcast here, and if you can tell by the screen I have up. I think I'm gonna go with the Umbrella of Jank podcast, and I'm a big fan of janky things when it comes to like playing Magic the Gathering per se, and when it comes to what jank is for me, I find that uh, even though the meaning of jank is like stupid, pointless, useless, and broken. And those are things that people typically don't enjoy using in games like Magic the Gathering uh, because it's not effective and you don't see competitive players trying to use Jank per se. Um, but when I like to play Magic the Gathering, Jank is probably the first thing that I go to there. And so this this will probably be majorly a Magic the Gathering podcast. I haven't decided yet. I just wanted to get something out there and see what the majority of people think of what what to do. So um, I guess for this episode, since if you play Magic the Gathering, the elephant's out of the room, or in the room, should I say, Kaladesh Remastered is out on Magic Arena. Now, for people who don't remember or have not played Magic Arena prior to its uh, completed, and I say that term loosely based off how the game is at the moment. So when it was in its beta, Kaladesh was in standard still, I believe, and we had the amount of cards in Arena were not very many. You had your Kaladesh Aether Revolt, your Amonkhet Hour of Devastation, and I believe, or maybe Amonkhet wasn't in Arena yet, and maybe it was. I remember Ixalan being mostly big the big selling point for Arena. I remember seeing a preview of some the Gathering pros play a closed beta version, which showed some play of Ixalan cards, and I it was pretty much like the first like established digital play of Magic the Gathering that I'd seen. Uh, and not including Magic Online or Magic Duels because Magic Online has been around for a while, and it's not so much digital as it's just a means to play online. It is a digital format, but I'm thinking Arena kind of surpassed what you would do in terms of a digital game. Like there's a 3D environment going on. And so I believe when Kaladesh had entered the realm of Arena, there were lots of problems, I feel, when it came to cards like Paradox Engine, and you had, uh, especially when Dominaria came in, and Dominaria had a ton of mana rocks to provide. So you have Paradox Engine, mana rocks up the wazoo, and lots of there. Since there weren't as many cards in Arena as there are now, there's a lot of like, you know, oh, let's tap mana or float some mana, cast an Ornithopter, and untap my things, and then maybe get all the way up to, say, a giant Banefire. And now, since Kaladesh is kind of back in the realm of Arena, uh, I would say Paradox Engine on a Jank level is very high up there now. Um, there's, there's still your mana rocks. You can only play it in Historic, which is fine. And if it sees play in like Historic Brawl, that'll be good. And so I feel Paradox Engine in in the historic format for Arena will kind of represent itself in a threatening manner. And now not everyone's gonna agree, but I was testing, for example, today with Paradox Engine, and I remembered the Pioneer Underworld Breach deck that had um, got some heat because, again, it's one of those decks where it's not very interactive, and you have kind of an eggs feel to it, where you sit there and you play your things and you keep reoccurring your things with Underworld Breach, and you make tons of mana. And with Paradox Engine, I feel that Underworld Breach just got a lot better in the historic format. And I feel that is because you have the card Emery, Lurker of the Lock. And with Emery, she comes down, she already costs less when you have artifacts in play. So most she's a blue. She's 1 blue to cast. She comes down, you mill yourself for 4. That fuels Underworld Breach. And say you have Mox Amber, Ornithopter. If you want to go the infinite mana route, you could do a bunch of Mox Ambers, and you target yourself with like Diligent Excavator from Dominaria. Every time you cast an historic spell, you mill someone 2 cards. So you just target yourself, and with Paradox Engine, you're untapping Emery. So you tap Emery, you cast Mox Amber or Ornithopter or whatever you have in the graveyard. You mill yourself, fueling Underworld Breach, and if you want to go the infinite mana route, you could do multiple mana rocks, and you could shoot someone in the face with a giant Banefire. Now, what I was doing is I was in a situation where I had Shimmer Dragon from, uh, let's see, Eldraine, right? Shimmer Dragon from Eldraine. Basically, Shimmer Dragon's a 5/6 for 6 mana. You can tap 2 untapped artifacts you control to draw a card. Now, I was getting synergy with floating a bunch of mana, tapping artifacts like Paradox Engine I was using for Second Monument from the new Zendikar Rising set, which gives an additional colorless to your mana rocks. So tapping artifacts to draw a card, and then casting an artifact or a spell, just in general, to untap those things. And so you can find yourself in a pretty broken scenario with Paradox Engine right now, especially with the use of Underworld Breach. And I kind of feel that Paradox Engine might get banned in Historic just because of this interaction. You know, there's been talk where Wizards wants to push Pioneer possibly onto Arena. Right now, Pioneer is probably not played all that much because of COVID going on, because it was a paper only format. I don't. It's probably on MTGO, um, but it wasn't that played all that much. And at the times that it was played, it was during it was kind of at the end of last year. You know, it got pretty popular and high up there because Pioneer had showed that um, it showed that Pioneer had some decks that got questioned, you know, with the Inverter of Truth deck, and then Underworld Breach had its own broken deck as well. Um, so I feel like this transition into being an MTG arena with Historic, and there being tons of fuel for the fire, per se, um, you could you could see a situation where Paradox Engine gets banned, per se. Now, a lot of people are speculating that it's not going to get banned, and that it's kind of silly to even think. Um, it's it's kind of silly to even think that Paradox Engine would get banned. Just because, like, it is a 5 drop, and you know it's kind of hard to play around. Um, it's let's see. Well, it's only been banned in Commander. Um, and I don't want Paradox Engine to get banned, per se. It's just my speculation. So basically, as far as like Jank goes, for the first episode here, I just wanted to put my thoughts down as far as like what kind of Jank are we are we talking about? And I guess the first episode here is just gonna revolve around things that are things from Magic the Gathering, especially in Arena right now, where people are just playing to win. So there's not really room for competitive combo synergies right now, because if you want to go on Arena, play in a ranked format, standard, historic, um, best of one or best of three, whatever you want, and you go in there trying to think that you're going to play, for example, the popular standard deck from back in the day, which was Esper Godfarrow's Gift, for example. That card got pretty high up there in terms of the Pro Tour. And basically, what it was is it was a blue, white, black deck that used a card called Godfarrow's Gift, which is an artifact, 7-drop. Uh, at the beginning of combat, you exile a creature from your graveyard, and um, you exile a creature from your graveyard, and you get a 4/4 black zombie copy of it with haste. And it comes down, and since it's a copy of the creature that you exiled, it does its thing. So the play was you put Godfarrow's Gift in your graveyard, you cast a white sorcery called Refurbish, and Refurbish reanimates an artifact from your graveyard. So you get Godfarrow's Gift. And maybe you have creatures like Angel of Invention, Fleet Swallower, and anything else that was pretty big and ugly at the time. And maybe you're ambitious and have Anointed Procession, which is a 3 in a white doubles token, basically. And since the copy you're getting is a token, you would get 2 of whatever you're using on Godfarrow's Gift. But you just do like Angel of Invention. It comes in as a 4/4, and then you make 2 servos, or you give it +1 or +2/+2, or whatever the fabricate cost on there was. So you got a giant angel with vigilance, or you get a 4/4 fleet swallower, which it attacks target player mills half their library. And basically, that was a pretty janky deck. But it did well in the Pro Tour when that was standard legal. So, but I feel like Arena has like its own atmosphere where if you take a deck like that, you better go off pretty fast. Otherwise, you know, uh, people, like I said, people are in it in Arena to win. Unfortunately, there's no room for jank. Sometimes you can get away with it. It's kind of hard, but if you go in there with a Paradox Engine deck and you're trying to like get infinite mana, or like as soon as possible, you probably are dead to goblins, elves, whatever have you. That's the historic meta right now. And I feel that um, I feel that like historically, if you're trying to play jank, um, like you better be playing with someone who is also doing jank, because if like I would play before COVID. I would be playing at my local game store with some friends, and it would be like, 4-player, 60 card game. Some people brought like their best decks, um, but I brought decks all the time that were really silly. They were busted, and my friends knew if they let me live, I would always win. But my decks were always like an engine. They were always some kind of puzzle I needed to put together, but I had a clock basically to put it together. Um, I pretty much had a clock, and what I mean by that is, my friends would not be there to win all the time, but if I didn't do what I was trying to do in a timely manner, I would be the first person out, unfortunately. And unfortunately, that became like a theme every week that we played. Um, I would always bring some kind of paradox engine deck, a reanimation deck. Um, I never really brought anything straightforward because I liked building things that sometimes had the same theme to it. Like you can only build so many decks with Paradox Engine that end up being different. Like my last Paradox Engine deck that I was pretty proud of and I felt like could be playable in like a legacy format. If it was, if you had the more expensive mana rocks and the more fast mana, let's say, the whole point of the deck was you use cards with buyback in them. So like capsize, you bounce a permanent and then you can pay 3 mana to get it back to your hand. Or you use let's see. I gotta look this up in the gather. Really? They don't have. Hmm. So yeah, basically the deck was using buyback cards and Paradox Engine uh, with mana rocks, and so you establish dominance basically using capsize and mana rocks, and every time you cast capsize, you untap um, your mana rocks with Paradox Engine, and then you can pay with those mana rocks to to buy back and float more mana. And there was another. It was just Searing Touch. It's a deal 1 damage to creature or player, buy back 4. Um, so it's 1 damage, buy back 4, but eventually you can get it going. Um, there were other cards like Fanning the Flames and deals X damage, or Evan cards Justice that kind of kills me too because it's 2 damage to everyone. So it was a silly deck. I feel like it was pretty much jank, and I feel like if it had faster mana, you could probably play with it in a you know kind of historic format per se in a on paper, but it never got that far unfortunately for me, because I am not in the budget to buy, you know, the fast mana that would allow you to play effectively in vintage or um, legacy. At most, it was capable of surviving in a modern game, but not really, just because of how slow it went. You need a paradox engine out and a bunch of mana rocks. So that was the kind of stuff I would play. So I'm kind of glad this stuff is kind of back in arena. and I just feel like there's gonna be opportunities to make plenty of decks. That paradox engine just seems pretty overpowered. Like, here's another example. You have a card called Chaos Wand. Chaos Wand for 4 mana. You tap it, you go through your opponent's deck, and you can cast a sorcery instant for free. And because you cast it with Paradox Engine out, you untap your mana rocks and your wand. And you can probably keep doing that until your opponent runs out of sorceries and instances. Now, this doesn't work for every deck, uh, for example, because not everyone plays a ton of sorceries and instances. There's only so many things you can do with Chaos Wand, especially since uh, there's not a good amount of like time magic in arena right now, because of the banning of Nexus of Fate, and um, there's time magic when it comes to um, like what is the card? Chance for Glory is another time magic card for Boros, but you end up losing the game the next turn for using it. Um, there's there's on here saying it's a strange card. Instant speed, take an extra turn. Uh, when that turn ends, you lose the game. But your creatures gain indestructibility indefinitely, and um, I wouldn't say it's a strange card. It's a card that's hard to use unless you're playing around it. Like, I built a blue, white, red deck after seeing. Um, it was kind of I wouldn't say it was a net decking kind of move. It was like, oh, here's a deck, here's a janky deck that I'd seen someone build for day 9 to use on What the Deck on his series on YouTube. And so someone submitted him a Gideon deck that used Gideon of the Trials, that for 0 you make an emblem saying you don't lose as long as you control Gideon, just a Gideon Planeswalker. It doesn't have to be that one. And you use cards that would cause you to lose the game if you didn't meet the requirements, or just straight out lose the game, like Glorious End, just ends the turn and then you lose the game. Instant speed. There's Pact and Negation, which if you don't pay 3 mana and 2 blue in your upkeep, you lose the game. And then there's this Chance for Glory. You take an extra turn, on your next turn you lose the game. So basically, that deck is just like using Gideons as your creatures and kind of controlling the board. taking an extra turn with Chandler Glory, countering spells with Pact, kind of controlling and letting your Gideons do the work for you. But unfortunately for Arena, there's only so many Gideons you can use, and despite that being the case, I mean, it is still a pretty fun deck. You might want to go with an alternative route of maybe using Platinum Angel, um, just in case you run out of a Gideon. uh, so that is kind of like a good amount of silliness that I like to bring to the table. And I wish, and whenever COVID does pass, uh, there's a lot of new decks that I want to bring to the 60 card format that kind of falls under the umbrella of Jank. And I think after playing so much Commander within the past, March, February, or wow, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. We're going to 9 months. We're going into 9 months, and I haven't been to a local game store since early March, February, basically, because about March is when they shut everything down. I remember the last time I was at um, my local game store, that is when COVID got kind of scary. It wasn't like a shutdown scary, but it was, we need to keep our precautions up. And so basically, I've just been playing Commander in the long run, um, over different sources of online use like Discord. There's a spell table. If no one knows what spell table is, you should check that out because that is a good um, use of playing over webcam. And I know like there's a lot of people that I've seen on like Facebook Magic groups and Instagram, and all these people that I see say, well, I haven't played Magic since X, March, for example. I haven't played Magic since March, and I'm like, you can play over webcam. It's janky sometimes, but it works. And before COVID, I had seen people play over webcam multiple times. Uh, because of distance reason. You make friends over the internet, and you guys want to play Commander over webcam. And I'd seen that trend kind of growing, and then because of COVID, fortunately, the whole playing over webcam has kind of taken over, and I would say it's kind of helping paper Magic survive because there was concern that paper Magic, due to COVID, was going to give rise to Arena and MTGO being the main sources of Magic. And now I have seen another group of people that just refuse. They refuse to just play Magic over webcam because they don't like it. Um, with that, I don't understand, but I also understand at the same time. Like, you like what you like, you don't like what you don't like, and that's fine. That's fair. But you can't sit there and go, "Oh, I haven't played Paper Magic. I miss playing Paper Magic," and refuse not to play. The the only way to play it right now, unless you're one of those groups of people that still want to play in person. And that's the thing that I find confusing right now. It's not so much that I don't agree with it, but there's a lot of groups of people that I keep seeing that are playing paper magic still, and with that I just say be careful and have fun, because a lot of people out there can't really afford to play paper magic. So I mean, for now we'll just stick with the webcam. So um, and if you're listening to this podcast and you like what you hear, uh, uh, take consideration and joining my Discord that I'll have in the link below, and we can play Commander together with other people that are on there. And there's other Discords that I'm a part of that we can always join those. And just if you listen to this podcast and you're not in a situation to play Magic the Gathering on paper because of where you live, because COVID might be like more dangerous than other parts, and maybe arena and online are not something that you enjoy, then consider just playing over webcam. Uh, it's pretty easy, For the longest time, I was using like my phone, and I had first propped it up on some boxes, right? And the phone was facing down to show my cards on the table. And then I found like a webcam that was pretty cheap on Amazon. So the webcam, it it just was in a spot where it was on boxes of some kind, and it was pointing down at my cards. And then I got like this really decent desk, and it came with like some kind of prompt. I don't know what it's for, but I was using it to put my cam on and facing at my playmat, and it was like turned around, but it was better visually. And so now I have this kind of this uh, I even know, it's kind of a stand as a clip. You clip to your desk, and the stand is like this flexible, bendable neck thing that you have your cam attached to on the top, and so now there's like even better visual. Um, but yeah, I don't play uh, competitive Magic or anything like that. I'm pretty janky, as I've explained with my Magic stuff. I do like to play some broken things, and I think I think with COVID going on right now, get all the paper Magic you can get in over cam, because there's a lot of cool people out there that are fun to play with. Um, you can't see right now, but some of the decks I like to play, just to give you a feel, are like Omnath, uh, which is like a landfall deck. Calamax, which is a spell slinger. Athreos and Marcheser are my reanimation decks. Urza's an artifact deck, and I have a Gisa and Geralf zombie deck, and those are the kind of things that I like to play. Just nothing too crazy powerful, but also not like I can't do anything because I'm just sitting there dirtling. But most of my decks are kind of dirtle, have fun types of things. Um, so yeah, if you are interested in getting on and playing over webcam, you know, let me know, and we can play on the weekends over Spell Table, and you can go on my Discord and link below. Because I understand Arena can be frustrating. Uh, it's just it's kind of repetitive sometimes, and um, but yeah, if you are playing Arena right now and you you have access to Kaladesh content on there, let me know what you think about Paradox Engine and if that's something that might get banned in Historic. Lots of people are saying that it's not going to get banned. I kind of come across some snooty Magic players over social media. I don't really care for it. I'm not someone who likes to have conversations sometimes over the internet because it's hard. It's hard to like get your thoughts right, your thoughts out, and lots of people come across like they know better than you. They understand the game better than you, and therefore proposing ideas like Paradox Engine might get banned in Historic because it's busted is not something a lot of people agree with as far as I'm concerned. You know, it's a hard um, it's a hard concept to what's the word? It's a hard concept to like grasp for a lot of people because Paradox Engine is not like overpowered to everyone. And I kind of feel that it is, but teach their own opinion. So, I mean, to each their own opinion, really. Um, but anyways, it's a speculation that not everyone's gonna agree with, and that's fine. I it got the Paradox Engine card got banned in Commander just because everyone tried to jam it in their decks, and especially with competitive play, it went off really fast and hardly any interaction. But to be fair, uh, saying that it's never been banned in any other format, is a thing. It's not something that you could easily discern to say, oh, this card's gonna be busted now, so it's gonna get banned, obviously. Um, I don't care if it gets banned or not. It was an idea that I had. Um, you know, if it doesn't get banned, that's fine. I enjoy playing Jank, and I think that if it doesn't get banned, I'll just have more fun, and we'll go about our day. If it doesn't get banned because someone finds a way to break the card and the format with it, then you know, my speculation was right. But you just come across all these Magic players on social media that just think they know A, B, and C, and that your idea is inconsequential to the big picture. And like, I understand that it's not ban worthy. It's a lot of mana to use, and it takes a while to get going with, with all the things already in historic. There's a lot of vast aggro decks to take into consideration. Someone mentioned that there's a lot of graveyard hate in historic, which is true. Um, it's just like there. I guess there are just better cards to use, which is fine. So here we are having an idea, and Magic players from all over do not like the idea and stomp on it. And so my idea of what is broken continues to be belittled, and that's fine. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because it's all it's all things that someone considers that other people don't consider. You can consider that cheese is going to be gross before you even try it out, right? And let's say I haven't had cheese before yet. So we're both debating on whether or not cheese is good or disgusting. And I think it's really good, but I haven't had it yet. And so that's basically where we're at with Paradox Engine in Historic. It literally just dropped on Arena and hit the Historic format today. So we don't know. It's just an idea. There's lots of things to consider, and um, we'll see where it goes in the coming days. Um, and like I said, either way, it's perfectly fine. But yeah, that basically takes me to kind of my ending here for kind of my pilot episode of this. I'm going with the umbrella of Jank right now, and if that's a thing that people enjoy, like I'll probably talk about other things and try to see if other people want to get on here and talk about other topics. It just doesn't have to be Magic the Gathering, because honestly, there's only so much you can talk about regarding Magic the Gathering. We can probably talk about other media and pop culture types of things. Kind of a nerdy stuff. Things that people have probably already done, but in my in my version, uh, just opinions and speculations on things. It kind of was a joke when I thought about making a podcast that it would just be Kaylin's ramblings, because I kind of like to ramble about random things. And but I think having kind of a solid uh like solid theme of Magic the Gathering being something that I feel like I know a good amount of. I have a good grasp on Magic the Gathering, but there's always room for other topics, movies, music, whatever you want. Uh, I'll even talk about. No, I won't. Paranormal stuff, sure. Um, I'm open to talking about like what's going on in the world. Like I mentioned, COVID. You know, there's if this goes on and people are up to talk about what's going on with politics. I mean, I'm open to talk about that, but that's not a popular topic, so it's totally fine. Um, so yeah, this is just kind of a pilot, and I just kind of wanted to start off with you know kind of giving a brief synopsis of what I feel is to be jank worthy in terms of Magic the Gathering. And if you like what you hear and you want to hear more and you like the name, feel free to comment and subscribe and leave a leave a thumbs up or thumbs down, and let me know why you thumbs down, because I'm always open to knowing what happened. Um, I'm not really sure how I'll get this in like another format, um, like Spotify or whatever else people use. This is just something that I wanted to do. I wanted to put out like something just for people to get a feel of, oh, this is how Kalen talks and conveys his opinions, and this is how the podcast might sound. And sorry if the audio is not up to par. I'll have to consider getting a better microphone for talking into. And yeah, and that's about all I gotta say. So if you have any questions or concerns, uh, feel free to email me at cladd.91@gmail.com. That's cladd.91@gmail.com. And I'll answer questions you might have regarding uh, whatever topic you want to discuss, whether it be magic, the gathering, paranormal, movies, music, what's going on in the world, and I'll do my best to look up what you're talking about and try to give my opinion on it. Um, yeah, thanks for listening, and I hope to uh, have episode 1 out after getting like a brief feel for what the pilot, what kind of feedback my pilot got here. Uh, I'll see you guys later.